Happy Saturday, hackers. Welcome to the stream. My name is Taggart, and as usual on Saturdays, we're going to kick off with some cyber news from the week. Just a couple of stories here that caught my attention. Might be interesting to cover. The first one is a vulnerability in Peloton bikes, um, and not the one that I really thought that was going to get a lot of coverage. I remember learning a little bit about the Peloton bikes when they were first coming out and discovering that, the truth is that the RTSP streams that provide the shows were available just kind of unauthenticated at first. And so you could, if you knew the URL, you could just like grab them um, and not have the bike, which was kind of a cool idea. But no, this vulnerability is actually related to the fact that underneath the shiny exterior of a Peloton bike is nothing more than an Android tablet, and an Android tablet that has fast boot enabled. So essentially, it's rooted, and that also means that you can add an additional shell and additional functionality to it. And that's exactly what Peloton did, including adding the SU command so you can get to root on the machine. So you might not think this is a big deal, but it could, because of course if it's a Peloton in your own home, so what if you can gain root access to it? As a matter of fact, I would argue that you should be able to gain root access to it if you bought the bike. That being said, for devices that reside in places like, say, a hotel or public utilities or public facilities that multiple people use and may connect other devices to, right? Then we start to get into a little bit of a concern about what you can do with those devices. So just kind of a neat Internet of Things story for another device that looks really slick on the exterior, but underneath it's the same software, it's the same hardware we've been using for years. One other story that kind of slipped under the radar was that there was a bit of ransomware delivered by the REvil or Revil. I don't really know how you're supposed to pronounce that, but the REvil ransomware group against SolArion's. SolArion's is a subcontractor for the Department of Defense here in the United States that works on the nuclear stockpile. And according to Bleeping Computer, their responsibilities include planning and managing nuclear weapon life extension programs and associated stockpile management as they relate to the maintenance of a highly reliable and safe nuclear deterrent. Okay, so that's not a group that you necessarily want to have ransomware, and especially these days with the double dipping of data exfiltration attacks from these groups. And that's exactly what has occurred, according to this story, that data from SolArion's has been exfiltrated and it's being auctioned off to the highest bidder. And no details exactly as to what has been exfiltrated and what's being sold, but this is another one of those stories that makes me think that we're about to be on the verge of some really major changes in the way that the United States in particular handles ransomware actors. It's going to be aggressive. And as I said last week, there's probably a better way and a worse way to do this. I don't think that a global war on terror attack or style of campaign is going to do the best job of deterring these attacks. And as a matter of fact, the president's ability to do some of that has been somewhat limited in that this last week the House passed a resolution to end the war in Iraq, the global war on terror era war powers resolution. So some of the AUMF level of authorization that the executive branch has been using to carry out unilateral military strikes without the approval of Congress has been limited in the last week. So I do think that there are some other things that at least the executive is going to pursue that don't involve the same kinds of strategies we've seen in the past. All right, I think that does it for our cyber news this week. This week's material, the main material, is going to be Rangeforce. Rangeforce is a really nice platform, especially for blue teamers. It has training on everything from SIM material, learning Splunk, to Kubernetes if you want to learn how to do containerized stuff. It even has good regular expression training all across the board, really kind of all the skills that you'd need to succeed on the blue team. And some of it is paid, some of it is not. I was lucky enough in the Rangeforce Community SOC Challenge, because I completed it, I was able to basically win a pass to some of the paid material, the SOC Analyst stuff, and just like we have Hack the Box stuff that's paid, and just like we have Try Hack Me stuff that's paid, we're going to go through the material, but I highly recommend that if you like what you see, you check out Rangeforce's pricing for some of its material. I think it's really, really solid. And I especially think that it would be a solid option for teams, and they do have team pricing, that if you're part of a SOC or if you're part of a blue team at an organization and you want to up everybody's skills, I think Rangeforce would be a really good option for working together with your entire team. So we're going to go through some of the battle path stuff today, it's what they call it, and kind of understand the platform, but also, learn some skills along the way. So let's get going. All right. So I'm open, by the way. If anybody, as you can see here, we have quite a few kind of paths we can follow. I've done some of the malware analyst stuff. I've done some of the I haven't done any actually of the security operations and threat landscape stuff. Why don't we start there, and we'll see how this goes. Introduction to the SOC. I don't need an introduction to the SOC. Maybe we'll leave this one alone. Let's get into the material here. Let's maybe check out operating systems analysis. All right, let's do it. Let's do Procmon. I think Procmon, it's available in sysinternals, but I think it's more powerful than a lot of folks understand. Let's go through it. So we'll start in Azure. Okay, I have either East US or Europe, so I'm in the United States. Let's do the United States. So what's really cool with Rangeforce is that it's all in the browser, right? I don't, unlike Try Hack Me or Hack the Box, I don't have to download a VPN or anything like that. I can just fire up a browser, and everything is provided for me within their environment. Assuming that it doesn't take forever to set up. Usually not an issue, honestly. But this might be kind of a bigger thing. These are longer. Some of these exercises are 30 minutes, some of them are 20 or 15. The 45, that's on the longer side, and the 90s I haven't really, other than obviously I started this one at some point, but it's interesting to see how long it takes to set up these longer ones. Let's see. While that's going, I'm going to shout out a couple of things. So the Google CTF is coming up. Is anybody planning on working on the Google CTF? I'm excited for it. I'm going to be attempting it. I don't know. These are challenging CTFs. I don't know how far I'll be able to get, but I definitely want to try my hand at it this year. And if you want to join the Tagger Tech team, let me know. Join the Discord. We'll throw that up again. It's right there, but in case you missed it. And let me know, and I will provide the team key if you wanna join. Okay, let's see if this thing is ready. Oh, good. All right, so we're in a Windows environment. This is my start menu and this is their start menu. Okay, we have been alerted about another cat infestation issue on one of our workstations. Someone is hoarding cat pictures again. As the local animal control expert. Okay. You've been dispatched to deal with the problem. Okay, to detect the source of the cat pictures appearing on the desktop, we will use process monitor by sysinternals. Love it. Sysadmins often use procmon to troubleshoot issues that are otherwise hard to detect on the operating system. Security professionals use it to monitor critical processes and spot potentially malicious behavior. Today, we are going to go through the basics of using procmon. That is true. That's what we're going to do. All right, let's take a look at it. Yep, it's not the most exciting. Much like all this sysinternal stuff, the interface is not thrilling. All right, yes. And we have filters that we can apply. But we'd have to start capturing events, right? So we start capturing events here. Now we're live and we're kind of seeing what's going on. All of the things that are happening on the system, right? So you can see that we have the process name, the process ID, and then what's going on. So you can see all like the read files, the registry stuff that's going on with a device, with a process. But if we wanted to filter down, we would add one of those filters. And one way that you can do it a little bit more easily is if I see an executable that I care about. Oh, look at that. We just saw a cat picture get generated. Look at that. We might filter include create file in our filter. And now we'll start filtering those. Now, it's going to take a second. There's also a useful feature in Procmon called the process tree. Yes, that is helpful. I'm trying to apply this filter here first. So we're seeing all the create files, and then we'll modify this a little bit more. So these files, what's their deal? They're JPEGs. So I can actually create a filter. Path ends with Look at that. So that's wild. You can see that it's actually Explorer that's creating the cat pictures. Or is it? Because we've got Spools SV doing it too. Let's take a look at that process tree. You see that there's a hierarchical structure that we have going on here, and obviously service host is going to have all sorts of stuff going on. That's messed up. That doesn't look right. These WMIs don't seem totally... That's not something you would expect to see. Anytime you see CMD getting launched by service hosts, you want to be a little bit suspicious. Now this is from WMI. Okay, so we've got this command PowerShell EP bypass and the command to get process name spools SV. That suggests to me that we're doing some sort of DLL injection onto spools SV or something like that. We'll see what else we got. Yeah. And then we'll see what's going on with spools SV. Or spool SV. It's not double plural. Looks to me like we're exploiting this print spooler vulnerability to gain privilege escalation. Okay. And yeah, the other thing that we're talking about here with Procmon, before I get too deep into this investigation, one of the things that you want to do with Procmon is once you start capturing data, it's very much like a packet capture, honestly. You want to start saving it, right? You can save out the PML or in CSV, however you want to do it. You want to save this so that you can review it later, right? Because this is a live capture. But if I wanted to save it, right, I would save it like this. So we've actually done this already. We've filtered the process monitor output for file write operations run the capture. What is the name of the process that is downloading cat pictures? Well, I think it's spoolsv.exe. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to filter for networking. So the process ID is 4372. So we're going to add that filter in there. And we're going to do operation, which is kind of their name for activity type, is these are the queries are registry, right? So, or no, they're not. What do we want? We have some TCP stuff down here. So we'll try TCP receive. Okay, it doesn't look like we're getting much from that. So let's do operation is see, I don't think it's going to be let's just see everything that it's doing and then we'll apply a filter from there. So just see everything that 4372 is doing. Nothing. That's cool. I think we messed up our filter a little bit here. Let's remove that. Let's remove that. the process ID not 4372? Let's go with process name is spoolsv.exe. Welcome back, Angel. There we go. So there is TCP receive. I'm not crazy. So we'll do... It was 7372. I wonder why I missed that. I guess it might be changing the PID pretty frequently. Okay, so then we'll do operation is TCP receive. TCP receive. Let's apply that filter. What are we looking at? Student.reddog.microsoft.com. That's us going to 172.67, 165.7. Quite a few of those. But there's one here that's going to an EC2. Let's copy this value. Kind of, Angel. So what we're looking at here, I think, is the print spooler. Let me actually look this up. Yeah. This guy. So basically, there was a privesc in the print spooler that allowed you to use spool SV to gain a system shell, and from there, do what you want to do. Yeah, and that's what's up. So it looks like they're using that. There's two, because I remember, so print spoof is the one where it's like, I think that one's slightly newer actually, where you can create a fake printer, and that gives you, it's not it's privilege escalation sort of, but what it does is it gives you universal file read and file read across the system, and so you could like print out SAM basically to a file that you control, and then from there you could escalate privileges after cracking the NTLM hash. That one was I think print spoofer. Print daemon was like straight up privilege escalation. I could be wrong about that, but I do remember there was like two separate Windows print spooler issues. It's probably more than two. Oh, maybe it was, yeah. Maybe it was like potato. Did I paste this, or did I copy this correctly? I did. All right, cool. Now that we know the offending process, stop the process downloading cat pictures. Is that it? It's just kill it? Let's open up a... Can I kill it from Yeah, I can't do it from Procmon. I was just gonna do this. Dot process. ID 7372. Well, the service is, but it's the XE that's running it. So that's a good point, though. Let's take a look at the stack. No, not the stack. Process. Parent PID is 704. Which would be probably service host, right? I always forget if it's sc.exe query. Is that right? Yeah, okay. So query spool sv. No. Let's flip the time here so that we're seeing new stuff up top. No? Yeah, we're not getting any new events here, so that process was killed. I did filter on name instead of PID, specifically because I thought it was going to be generating new ones. Let's look for services. Let's just look at it here. Print spooler. Stop. That was it. Okay. So, what was the name of it? Yeah, but what was the actual name of the spooler? If I had done a spooler. Yeah, there it is. So that's good to know. So if we had wanted to do it from PowerShell, it would have been sc.exe stop spooler. Cool. That was a fun one. All right, we'll end that module. Next. All right, this is one I've done a little bit of, but I did it so long ago, I actually think I'm going to do better this time. Oh god, especially the XPath stuff. Because the XPath stuff is like, it's really, really powerful. But god, what a pain. But this is something that I want to get better at for a couple of reasons. One, very often when I'm doing incident response, being able to filter through your Windows event logs is a superpower. Even if you're using a tool like Redline or something like that, that makes it a lot easier to do. Being able to cut through it with XPath or hash tables is, or filter hash tables is absolutely much more efficient. And so really, really good to get solid at that. That's obviously just like a practical reason. And then, oh god, I love JQ. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And then another reason, which is a little bit more maybe mercenary, is for certifications. The eLearn Security THP, the threat hunting certification that they offer, is going to have a lot of that material on it. So if you are able to just kind of like slice through Windows logs with ease, you're going to have a much easier time with that material. All right, let's kick this off. Yeah, JQ is cool. Another tool that I've been using a little bit is data mash, which is if you have a CSV or like a tab or space separated value, you can do basic Excel operations on the command line with data mash. Really, really neat, especially if you have like NetFlow data or something like that and you want to get quick sums. You know, obviously I do a lot of that stuff in Jupyter, but if I wanted to do it very, very quickly, yeah, data mash is cool for that. Was data mash from A. Gordon? I think it's a GNU. Project. I don't know. Oh yeah, there it is. Asaf Gordon. There you go. I'll toss this in case anybody wants to check it out. I should disclaim that any endorsement of GNU is not an endorsement of Richard Stallman. That guy's a creep. He's more than a creep. He's an abuser. You are a new domain administrator at Contoso Inc. Your boss has assigned you to understand Windows event logs. Yeah. Okay. How did Windows decide that Contoso was going to be their like fake company name for all of their material? I don't know the backstory to that. Okay, so what we're talking about here is the two different tools to get at Windows event logs. One of them is on the old school shell, which is wvutil, and the newer PowerShell one is get win event. And I much prefer get win event, so we're going to live in PowerShell for this, unless they make us do something else. They do. That's fine. It's good to see both, I suppose. All right, we'll fire up the command prompt first. And let me see if I can get the font a little bit bigger. Right-click as paste in Windows is very strange. Just make this a little bit easier to read for everybody. Nah, go a little bigger. Nice. The large print edition. Okay, so we'll do web util, nope, WB util, and what was it, EL? Yeah. Excuse me. Do I have to call, oh, EBT util. There we go. So that gives us our help, and there's enum logs. So that's a good first place to start. There's a lot of them. Generally speaking, for me, I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Microsoft Windows PowerShell operational. And there's also going to be, I think there should be one just called security. Yep. So that's going to be another one that matters a lot. Okay. What is one of the Windows event logs that has PowerShell in its name? So we actually just found that, right? It's Microsoft Windows PowerShell / operational. Okay, what is the default output format for query events? query events is QE security, and we'll do count of 5. QE security, count of 5. Gross. So that's XML, and that's actually why we want... This is actually why I like the PowerShell one so much better, because then we don't have to worry about parsing this. It does it for us. So, and I don't know if everyone totally rocks this. Oh, I mean, I use Windows Terminal. I don't know if it's on this VM that they gave us. It is not. Yes, I personally use and quite like Windows Terminal, but their VM does not have it. Yeah. Oh, right. So I was going to say that I don't know if everybody totally groks kind of like the PowerShell concept, meaning that in a Linux command line or a Unix-like command line, all of the inputs and outputs to your shell commands are text. And that's actually one of the 3 components of the Unix philosophy, right? The Unix philosophy is like, build a tool to do one thing and do it well, make multiple tools work together, and text is the universal input-output paradigm. Those are the 3 tenets of the Unix philosophy. And that's why, like, when we do the Linux stuff, we end up creating these massive chains of pipes of commands where it's just text from one thing getting parsed by another, processed, and thrown to another thing, which, as a functional programmer myself, I deeply, deeply appreciate. The problem is that text is really fragile, right? Because, you know, a single space somewhere can mess up that input-output. And for that, and it also makes kind of more complicated processes more complicated in that way. And structured data of any kind gets really, really annoying, especially things like dates, right? So what PowerShell did is said, okay, well, it's not the 60s anymore. So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is create a shell that isn't based around text, but objects, structured data. And so what you're working with in PowerShell, I mean, you can play with text, you can manipulate text, obviously, but what you're working with in a PowerShell environment is actually data objects, which is why they have like properties and methods that you can use directly in the shell. Now, you still pipe from one thing to another, but again, it's just that it's that more structured concept. And I think that difference can often be elided when you're starting using PowerShell a lot, but it's a really, really powerful thing to understand. And it's also why when you need text from it, it can actually be more annoying because it's designed to work as data objects rather than straight text. And I will say for me, most of what I do doesn't require that structured data, which is why I prefer, one of the many reasons I prefer a Linux environment or a more Linux-y type of approach where I'm working with text from start to finish, and then I will handle the parsing of it. Yeah, same thing, Angel. You know, working with PowerShell took me a long time too, and even now, like, I've written some complex stuff in PowerShell, but it's like it never sticks with me, and I always have to have references up to do it. Although, to be fair, that's also true with Bash, because Bash's syntax is one of the most arcane jumbles that we still have to deal with every day. It's gotten to the point where basically, if I can get away with it, I will just write my scripts in Python. And if I have to call out to a shell command to do something, I will like do it, capture the output of it. Let's bring the font up again. Okay. So we're going to do some PowerShell. Get when event. Get when event, I much prefer this syntax here. So let's take a look at the list providers. Get win event, list provider, star, right? It's a bunch. But notice again that it's not text that we're getting, right? We're getting structured data. Stop. And so if I wanted to, I could say like providers, let me rerun that last command, but assign it to a variable, right? Providers. Right, so I have them, even though I got some errors for some of those. But I have providers, and then if I do provider 0.name, right, it gives me that actual value. It's a little bit of a different thing, right? Now, this is very often what I will do, like just get the last few events or something like that. And get win events, get win event, log name, security, and then max events will be 5. And that's the 5 most recent events. Now, notice that I don't have a lot of information here, right? And it's actually getting cut off because I'm just getting like the basic preview for each one of these. If I wanted more information, I could do a couple of things. I could say max events 5, I could pipe it to a select, which is short for select property. And then I could do select message, because you can see that's the name of the property for each one of these here. So if I do that, you'll see that I just get the message back. But again, it's still cut off. So if I wanted to get the whole message for each one of these, and I could also select more. I could do like select ID message, right? See, I have both of these. But if I wanted to just get the message and I wanted to see the whole thing, there's an option flag to select called expand property. And that gives me the whole smash. And again, of course, the Windows event messages are big, right? Which is why it's cut off. But you need this information. Now, this is kind of a pain to work through, but if you're just looking at the most recent events, really, really handy to get an idea of what's going on. Now, we can do a little bit more slicing and dicing here, and we'll play with that. If you want to see, this is a good call out by the material here. If you want to see what things it returns, I'm in an administrator shell, so that shouldn't be happening. Get member. Yeah, that's not right. That's very funny that they're giving me an example that let's do this. Let's pipe the one that we got before to get member and see what we see. So this gives you an idea of what the thing is that you're getting back. So get dash member or shortcut GM tells you the kind of thing that you're getting back and what each of the member types is, right? So a note property is basically text. These are the data types that you're dealing with, right? And many of them are more structured, right? Like a process ID, that's a specific thing that has specific things that it can do. But these are the abilities that we have, or the properties that we have with each of these. So it's good to know that going in. I really, really like this. to remember how we can manipulate this data. Okay. So what is one of the three filtering objects for get when it, what is the one of the three log name? I'm looking right at it. Oh, let's try like filter XPath. Is that what they want? Yes. And what is the value of the keyword display names property from the output of this filtered query? All right, let's take a look at this. Okay. So we're going to, even though they have it for us, we're going to build it just to understand what's going on. And the filter XPath, I'm actually going to go get the documentation from Microsoft on this. Because I think it's good. Okay. Maybe it isn't. This might be pretty good. Yeah. So filter XPath basically allows you to write in a syntax that cuts through the XML tree and then add in parameters for what you want to select at each of those levels. Like so. So the system, once we're at the provider level, the provider has a built-in kind of value of name, and we're going to say, okay, the name has to match this. Now, I don't love using XPath because it's so crazy, but it is useful to know how to do it for certain operations. I prefer using the filter hash table. Why? Because, let me zoom that in a little bit. The syntax is cleaner. Here's one of those structured things where we need to work with the object date rather than a date string, right? Because the start times in our event logs are date objects. So we can't give it a string. We have to make a date object. But luckily, PowerShell makes it pretty easy to do that with the methods inside of the date. Let's actually play with that real quick, just so we can see it. You know what? I'll do this here. I'll do this in my own PowerShell. Fine. Stop yelling at me about the font. I know. Okay. So if I do get date, right? So let's say that to a variable. Okay, now let's do that get member thing. Look at all the things that the date can do. Look at all these methods, right? So we can add days, we can add hours, we can add milliseconds. So like if I do d dot add days, let's do -7, right? Now notice that it returns the value, but it doesn't modify the original. If I wanted to do that, I would have to resave it. D equals D, add days -7. And now, right, now my day is set to the 12th. Really, really, really handy. And that's going to be, if we are doing an investigation, we want to be able to do that. If we have an idea of when we want our logs to start, we can use that. Okay, so that was kind of a tangent. The question here is, what is the value of the keywords display name property from the output of this filter query? So they're using XPath. So I'm going to show this to you with XPath, and I'm going to show it to you with a filter hash table. So we'll start with get when event, log name, security, right? Yes. And then filter xpath. How are we doing this? Okay, so from any root, anything, and then event ID equals 4634. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Windows event 4634. What do you got for me? UltimateWindowsSecurity.com. An account was logged off. I should know that. So anytime we see a log off is what they're asking for. Okay, and then was it max events 1? No events were found that matched the specified selection criteria. Did I miss something? Oh, hold on a second. It's case sensitive, and the D and ID needs to be... There we go. So what is the value? Remember that this thing is an object. It has a bunch of stuff, right? Including keyword display names. So what I want to do is actually select keywords display names. Audit success. In brackets. What the? What? Oh, I misspelled success. Cool. Good job. Okay, before we go any further, let's actually go through and do this as a filter hash table so I can show you why I like this a little bit more. Now, with filter hash table, you can't do anything outside the filter hash table, really. So, we'll just do filter hash table. And then we make the hash table, which is just key value pairs. Think of it like dictionaries in Python or objects in JavaScript. And the way that it looks, let's go over here, right? Just like so. So semicolon separating the key value pairs equals separating the keys and values. And so, you know, you think about the things that we were filtering for before. We were doing log name equals security. Security. Event ID equals 4634. Max events equals 1. Oh, right, that's got to be a string now. Or, you know, not. Let's get rid of the max events because I think that might be messing us up. Let's see. Let's try just event ID. Do we put that in strings? Nope. Interesting. It is a semicolon. You can also do line breaks for it. Look at that get win event again. Yeah, it might be. Let's quote the max events too, I guess. Let's remove the event ID. See, it shouldn't be quoted. Because again, the whole point is that we're dealing with data types that... And yet... Oh, hold on a second. I think max events might live outside. No? Okay, let's try with the quotes. Okay, let's just try max events then. Let's see if we can just get an event. Welcome in, everybody. Red Team Medic. Thanks for the raid. And Trisma, thank you so much for the follow. We are doing win event stuff, Windows event log stuff. So I'm gonna take max events out. I'm gonna put it out here. See, that works. So we'll leave max events out. And then we'll say event ID ID. It's not event ID when you do X filter hash table. It's just straight up ID. Now, can I put the max events inside the filter hash table? I think that I can, but I'm not entirely certain. Max events equals 1. No, I cannot. So if you want to limit the events, you put that outside. Yes. So this is how you would do it with filter hash table. So for me, even though I couldn't remember it to save my life here, this is to me a little bit of an easier syntax than what we were doing. Let me scroll up 100,000 lines. Nope, not going to do that. Never mind. Easier than what we were doing with XPath and what they're going to ask us to do with XPath, just because it's so complicated as you go through these, like all the wildcards, things like that. So I prefer to filter with the filter hash table. However, you want to make sure the get member is going to be really, really handy, because once you do that, in fact, let's do this right now. Let me take this and pipe it to get member so we can see all the properties, right? So there's the ID. These are the things that you can put in the filter hash table to start filtering your Windows events, right? Knowing these ahead of time, crazy useful. Okay. But, you know, if we're talking about XPath, if we wanted to get down to the event ID, right, you can see how it's kind of structured here, where we have an event, then there's the system node, and then you filter to the event ID element, given a value of 4624. Okay. Now, the other thing, let's actually run get help on get win event, which is also something that we should know if we're learning PowerShell, is that any commandlet you can give to get help, and it will tell you how it works. Think of it like the man page in Linux. Okay. Now, one of the things that this is asking us to do is use a separate log file, right? Not the built-in one that is pointing to by default. We're going to use the path parameter to take care of that. So it's asking us, we have to change our directory here. Let's cdc users Ontoso admin, I guess, desktop, and we're using security log. So we'll say get win event path security log evtx max events 1. Right? So now we're working with that log file rather than the built-in security log file. That's the way that we take care of that. Okay, so what is the time of the most recent event ID? So I can give it the event ID of 46, what is that? 4624, which is successful login. No, I can't. Can I give it ID? No. So at that point, right, this is where the filter hash table comes in. They're asking me to do it with XPath, but I'm not gonna. Ooh, cannot be resolved with the specified name parameters. That sucks. Can I do it this way? Ambiguous parameter set. It's definitely ID. Oh, you know what? Probably looking, it's asking for log name equals security. ID equals 4624. What? Oh, fine. That's annoying. So what else can we use to... Yeah. So select log name. Security. Okay, let me try this. Interesting. Parameter set cannot be resolved using the specified parameters. I don't know what's up with that. Let's try it with XPath and see if we can actually get it. Well, actually, we don't even need most recent event ID 4624. So we'll say filter XPath is let */* event ID equals 4624, right? Man, I'm striking out here. Now I could just open the freaking file, but I would rather not do that. I would rather do it this way. Oh, wait, no, I had that right. */* event. Oh, wait, no, it's case sensitive. There it is. Okay. Max events 1. Okay. So the most recent event ID was 113640. Query by event time. No, please don't make me do this. I want to look up why filter hash table was not working, because it really will be, if we can get it to work, it'll be... So get when event, ambiguous parameter set. Yep, when event, filter hash table, ambiguous parameter. Let's look for things that must have the word ambiguous in it. Okay, they're using XPath. That's not really what I want. Can we just use filter hash table? So log name equals security doesn't work. Let's do this. Let's do max events. Let's get like the last 20 events and select log name. It's all security. And that again gives us the invalid argument, get rid of this. So parameters that cannot be specified name parameters. Is the max events messing us up? No. Do I have to give it the path in here? There it is. Fascinating. So if I want to use filter hash table, I have to put the path inside the hash table. Feels good. Okay. So the reason, other than getting it right, the reason why I was so excited about that is because look at this. I don't want to have to do this for dealing with times. Forget that noise. Although, if they're giving us the timestamp like that, it might actually make sense. Oh. Yeah, it's gonna look like one of these. The question here is, what is the event ID that happened on 2019 12/13 847 27.5440626? Way to get down into the what even is that? Nano, like octoseconds? You don't have that kind of precision. That's not a real time. By the way, if you really want to mess with your head, check out what happens. Let me fire up Python 3 here. Watch this. If I do, what is it? If I do like n divided by 3.0, yep. At some point, right, Python will stop. It'll give up on its floating point precision, and the way that the bits are working will mess up the final position. So we know, right, 10 divided by 3 is 3.33 repeating. But not in Python. So you got to watch out for that precision. I love giving that exercise to my students. It messes with them so bad. Okay, so we're going to use XPath here just because they're giving us the timestamp. But if we wanted to, we could do it with getDate. It would just, or create date, right? Yeah, so we could actually do it. Let's try it this way. So coming back over here, if we get help on get date, we can give it a time string, as a matter of fact. So let's try that. Let's try to create a date object. Love it. Okay, so let's save that as a variable. And then, even though they want us to do the filter XPath, I want to do it with the filter hash table. So it would be date created equals -d, or $D. No events were found. Interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Time created, not date created. Still no. All right, let's get rid of the... Let's just make sure that we have the right properties here, because we already learned with the event ID. Nope, time created. And it's a... Okay. Oh wait, but I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong log. I'm supposed to be using the system log, not the security log for this. No events were found that match the specified selection criteria. Well, very well. We will try it with the filter XPath. So we'll do the whole thing. Get an event path system log yeah, log name, yeah, okay, dang it. Get one event path system log log name system, and then filter XPath this whole situation. Let me move this over a little bit. It's more visible. Okay, so */*/ time created is going to be system time equals, and then it's this string here, which we'll copy again. Oh, interesting. So they have it in single quotes and double quotes on the inside, and sometimes that does matter. So I will adhere to that convention. Yeah, just close it and single quotes. Okay. What is the event ID that happened? 7036. Now, interestingly here, so 12/13/2019, 8:24:27 a.m. Can we do it without the precision here? Yes. Now, can I, without that millisecond stuff, can I try? Nope. Unfortunate. So if I wanted to do like a greater than, I can do comparisons in here, I'm pretty sure. But let's move on. The point that they were trying to make is that using filter XPath is really powerful, and I think they have successfully made that point despite my best efforts to get around using it. What is the event ID of the most recent event involving the user Eleanor? Okay, well, maybe this one we can do. So let's again get our so we have user IDs. But you'll see that it's not. Let's change our max events to 10 just to see if there's anything in there. There is not. Change the log file. Oh, we're back to security log. Good call. Good call. Good call. Let's see everything. So we'll do max events 1, and I'm going to pipe it to format list, which gives us everything. Ah, there it is. So this is going to be a little bit more interesting. Oh, target. So is there just a name property? There is not. So there's more stuff. This is actually kind of... Ooh. There's a properties. So let's do properties. Yeah. So there's more stuff that you can get after, it looks like, in the XPath. Because it's parsing, that's actually really good to know. It's parsing the message in a way that we don't have in the filter hash table. So if we were to look at this, and like you could cheat a little bit on it, but that's really good to know. Filter on just events containing target username. Well, fine. Next events. Let's do filter XPath. And do the name is, it's like a misspelled Eleanor. No, it's correctly spelled Eleanor. Oh, I gotta give it the right path. I was looking in the regular. Path is security log. Filter on just events containing targets. All right, let's take a look at this stuff in the security logs. I want to see how the XML is actually structured. And so we're actually going to go into the event viewer here. And that'll help us figure out how we want to filter with this. Okay, so to look at the actual details, you go to the XML view here. Let's bring this up. So it is target username. Looks like they're all caps. Now, unfortunately, the filters built into the event viewer are not awesome, but we can try it. So we'll try user Eleanor. And see how that gives us this like whole SID here. That's interesting. But we don't get anything. Although it did create an actual user entry for us here. But it's not showing us any events. And we're looking at the right log here. What is the event ID of the most recent event involving user Eleanor? I don't think it was. So it says the language of that is interesting because it says involving. Let's clear that filter. I think it might be the subject username. Possibly. Although it's interesting to see that oops. Nope, I'm in PowerShell. What if we did all caps? Nothing. Let's try subject username. Nope. Okay. We're gonna have to go a little bit wider here. And to do that, I'm going to do a little bit of a cheat that I use pretty often. So what we're going to do is we're getting all of them, and where, and this is where it gets a little bit funny. Not contains. Was it like? Or is it dash contains? So now this is like a kind of brute force thing. What we're doing with this syntax, if I got it right, what? Okay, sure, Tech Republic, show me your PowerShell cheat sheet. There we go. But there's also, these are arithmetics. There we go. Yeah, it is dash contains. Wasn't crazy. And so what we're doing, nothing. That's insane. So get win event dash path security log dbtx. We're piping each one of the events, every one of them, right? Not filtering at all, to a where statement, and we're giving it this operation, this boolean, and the $sign here basically is saying the object that has been passed in is the $_ underscore, and then we're getting the message value, which is the whole. It's like the raw text of the thing, and we're looking for anything that contains Eleanor. Now, it didn't. Now we'll try all caps. Thanks, Angel. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good weekend. Now we'll try it with all caps, but I'm getting a little worried that it's not in here. I'll ask for a hint, sure. Yes, we knew that. Yeah, nothing in there either. Oh, I was doing this wrong. I see. So, although that should have worked still. So if we go back to the name equals, it's like target username. Wow. We'll just try this one then. Nothing there. All right, I'm going to reveal the solution here. Oh my god. Is it... Wait. I think this is about quotes. Oh, we still have to give it the path. Okay, and then max events 1. There it is. Okay. There's a lot that was going wrong there. The first is that the syntax was off, and also quotes around the XPath query. Kind of crazy, though, that the message didn't contain it correctly. Or if it did, it was in a different format. Okay. What is the event ID of the most recent? 4798. Okay. You can also specify Boolean arguments in XPath. That's kind of cool. Not equal 4624 and not equal 4648. All right. I think maybe time to get over my problems with XPath because it's clearly rocking here. So what do we want to do? What was when the user last logged in? Well, wait. Why wouldn't I want... Oh. Well, now I'm a little confused because I don't know where the brackets are going to go. Target username equals Eleanor we have here, but... So here we're doing like this name equals target username equals Eleanor. Oh, wait. So it would be like equals Eleanor and then we do the whole thing again. So we do like event data or like and event system event ID equals 4624. Neat. Okay, that worked. So this is a timestamp here. 10:32:45. So all we'll have to do for this one, because they just want us to reverse it, is get the oldest. 2/11/2020. So now we're combining queries. This is pretty in-depth, and this I think it's helpful. Maybe useful to open an example event for the given ID and provider in event viewer. Yeah. What is the time when the user Eleanor first logged in on 2020 2/26? So let's go back to the query by event time to see how this stuff works. Right? System time. Gonna be like this. So we'll have, combining queries. So we want Eleanor's login. And let's paste this stuff in here. Let's get rid of the extra quotes. And it's going to be the 26th of 2020. February 26th. No! So 2022 to 26. And can I get away without giving it the T component? Well, let's see. Let's just give it zeros. And then 2022, we'll say 27 at midnight. Okay. So what is the time first logged in? 10:32:40. God, wonderful. so far we've just queried the security log. There are others that can be queried. We're going to do application. What is the product name of the MSI that was installed on 2/11/2020 around 11 a.m.? Let's close. We'll close this. Let's close it this way. And let's open the application log. Okay, now let's take a look at what these look like in the XML view. So these are really all over the place. MSI installer, I think, is going to be something that we filter for on source. So we can say get win event apt application and then source MSI installer, and then we'll do max events. Nope. Oh, is it, what is it, log source? Can I do that? Nope. Provider? Nope. All right. No, it is provider name. Is it log provider? Well, let's try filter XPath. Let's try to do this, right? So we'll say system/provider name. So event/system. So event/system provider name equals MSI installer. No events were found, but that could be because I didn't do that correctly. Oh, yeah, because it's provider name. So I think we have to do kind of like what we did with target username, right? Where we do Can I do this? Equals MSI installer. So how do we do this? So, ooh, there's no slash. Okay. So that worked, although it didn't. Let's take a look at that Eleanor query again. So provider data, and then once we're in data, it was oh, because it was a specific kind of data. I wonder if there's an easier way to do this. That's not at all helpful. Oh, provider name. Don't know why I couldn't see that. But if I have that, I can do so we know that path has to go in here instead of outside. We learned that earlier. So we'll do application log.ebtx, and we'll do provider name equals MSI installer. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. What was the product name of the MSI that was installed on 2/11/2020 around 11 a.m.? Now, something that we can do is date equals Did I lose people? Oh. Uh, 02 11T. So we can actually create a date like that. So what we'll want to do is around 11 a.m. So what we're going to do is say provider name MSI installer, and then we'll say start time. No, sorry, that's not what I want to do. I want to send that to where, and then we'll do this. Dot time created is greater than or equal to our date, and time created is less than, let's do d dot add hour 1. Oops, what is it, 2 ampersands? Is it a single ampersand? Dash and. Of course. Oh, PowerShell. So we'll parenthesize this one. And then dash and parenthesize this one. Here. So what we're doing then is we're using the filter hash table and then we're sending it to where. To add hours. Yeah, there we go. Oh, cool. So we actually found some stuff. So let's do max events 1. No? Ending a Windows installation. Okay, so let's see. Looks like we got it. What was the product name? Let's get all these events. There we go. Google Update Helper. There's our product name. What? Oh, wait a second. I know what the problem was. I should have max events 10, but I should have done oldest. Because that'll get me starting to... Hey, Neurotoxin. Good to see you. Okay, so around 11. Ah, Microsoft Monitoring Agent. There we go. So the trick was, we had to use oldest this way to get to the actual, to get it started. Because again, the way that we're doing this time comparison is we have our target time of 11 a.m. and we're doing anything that's between greater than or equal to that date and less than equal to that date plus 1 hour. So because the events are returned in descending time order, right, most recent first by default, I was going to get the stuff that was like later on in that hour first. But by giving it the oldest parameter, I was going to get the stuff that was closest to 11 a.m. instead. And that's how we got to this. Okay. What was the first shutdown time? Okay. To do this, I'm going to just look for the event ID. Shut down. 2. The power. Windows shutdown event ID. It's just ID 41, right? So that should be easy enough to do with filter hash table. So what we'll do, let's clear out all this. So that's going to be the system log. And the first shutdown time. So we definitely want oldest. We'll do max events 1. And the path is going to be to the system log rather than the application log. And we don't need the provider name anymore, but we do need the ID of 41. If that's in fact or 1074. Let's try 1074. There it is. Okay. So what's the first shutdown time? 8:25:14. What? Oh, wait. We actually do need a date filter, right? Because, so we'll say D equals get date, and we're going to give it 2020. Sorry, what was that? February 3rd. Can I just give it the UTC? I can. I can. That's awesome. So what we'll do is we'll use that date. So again, we'll do kind of a pipe to where, and then we're going to do this. We're going to do, sorry, it's brackets, and then the $sign here, what this is doing is we're saying whatever this object is that we're working with, that's the context that we're in. And then dot time created is greater than or equal to our date. And just like we did before, we're going to parenthesize this because we have another condition, right? Because we're looking for like between. And time created is greater than or equal to the beginning of the day, beginning of February 3rd, dash and then another parentheses. We're going to do dot time created is less than the date dot add days 1, and we'll close that off. We didn't get any. Let's get rid of the max events. Okay, there we go. So it looks like the first one was at 11:11:37. No? Hmm. Is it the 220? No, it's not. What? I wonder what I'm doing wrong here. Do we definitely... It's definitely event ID 1074. Maybe we'll try 6006. So that's 11:11:38. Okay, I'll ask for a hint. Shutdown servants, event ID 13. What? What? Okay. No, it's... Oh, it's a sysmon event. That's why. No. I think that is not correct, but that's fine. We'll give it to him. Okay, 11:11:50. We were close. We just had the wrong event ID that we were using. It's kind of strange, though. Okay. Windows records time change events under ID 4616 in the security event log. What is the time on 26/2/2020? All of a sudden we're in European? When the user NT authority changed the system time. Okay. So let's get that get date again. Get date. Okay, and then what we're going to do is actually kind of the same thing here, except that we're going to use the security log. And the ID is 4616. And there's only one of those. So we're going to format list to get the whole smash just to see the message, and I wanted to make sure that it was NT Authority doing the changing, just in case they were trying to pull a fast one on us. But it looks like we got it, so it's at 10:02:32. Great. And then finally, what is the logon process value when the network service account logged on? So I want to see, what can I get here? I want to get at those properties because they're in there. Let me just do a quick Google search for that to see if I can find something useful. Nope, the second result is absolutely what I wanted. Zero event data. So hold on a second. Is there an event property? Nope. Nope. Not really. I don't think, unless get one event and then event. Oh, I see. We get the XML of it. Oh, interesting. So we can actually get stuff that's in there. So let me try that. It's kind of cool. So this 2XML is that the 2XML? Yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do that. So we'll just say like event that. Events 0, yeah, dot 2xml. Gives us this is a string. Oh no, I do this. That's cool. That's neat. Okay. Look at that. There's .data. It's .data. And that's just a string. So it's all in there, but kind of hard to get at. Okay, so where are we? This is like the last thing too. We'll get out of here. What is the logon process value in the network service account? Oh. So this is going to be a bunch. No, it's not. February 26th. No 4624s. There absolutely should be. Yeah. Let's get rid of oldest just in case. That's doing something funny. Let's get rid of the where statement just in case we can see that's messing up. The ID should absolutely not be. That's insane. Let's try it in the viewer here. .4625s are failed logins. But let's filter for 4624. And what was the user we're filtering for? It's NT authority. And we can filter it further.
Hey, this is McLaughlin, and this is Hutch. And you're
Saying 226, right? Well, there's NT Authority right there. But it's system. Wait, yeah. I was like, NT Authority isn't a username. Oh, so the network service is what we're looking for, not system. There it is. So that happened at 10:02:25. We were able to get there with the event viewer. And the logon process. Sorry, that's what we wanted. Yeah, ADV API. Got it. All right. Well, that was a really good deep dive into Windows event logs. And this is the kind of stuff that you have to do when you're doing an incident response. You're going to have a lot of questions that require complicated queries to structure and combine to get your answers. And you'll probably end up using a bunch of different tools in combination. Whether you use filter hash tables, whether you use XPath, the event viewer itself, don't discount it. It does have some easy navigation tools, depending on how complicated your queries are. And then the last one I'll just shout out is Mandiant Redline. Actually, I'm curious. Can I get to websites on this thing? Sometimes it does. The Rangeforce stuff is connected to the internet. So I could have theoretically loaded Redline onto this machine and used it to review the logs. That could have been helpful for us as well. But I think that's a good place to end for today. So thanks everybody for watching. Let me see if I can send you someplace cool. All right, nobody's really that I'm following is really doing anything right now. So I think I'm just gonna say have a good weekend. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna be back on Tuesday doing red team stuff, Wednesday doing programming, and Hack Summer is coming up. So if you want to learn some Linux in an intensive course, come join the Discord, because that's going to be our study group for that. But yeah, until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and yeah, see you then.